Hello and welcome to the FPL News channel. This video will round up the key FPL talking points from the press conferences ahead of the Gameweek 4 deadline, which is Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Irish time. So we'll start with Man City, and Guardiola gave up nothing on team news in his presser, which is nice of him. He just said that training was in the afternoon and he'd know then. So that leaves Nathan Ake and Jack Grealish as doubts heading into Gameweek 4. Neither player was in the match day squad for the friendly against Barcelona in midweek. For Spurs, Christian Romero and Oliver Skip are still out. Romero could return as soon as next week for the game against West Ham in Gameweek 5, which is on Wednesday. Well, the deadline for Gameweek 5 is on Tuesday and Spurs play on Wednesday. Conte has doubts over Lucas Moura and Brian Gill, who both didn't train on Friday. The Italian also said there's no problem with Son's performances. I've tweeted out the whole thread of quotes on that on my Twitter account at Colm V Hayes, or you can read the article on Drafthound, which is free to view, and I will link in the description below. So that's about Heung-min Son. And then lastly for Conte, he kind of hinted at rotation again because of the packed schedule, games every 3 or 4 days. Nothing new there. Perisic owners can expect him to miss out at some stage in the next week, seeing as they've got 3 Premier League games in about 7 or 8 days between Gameweek 4, Gameweek 5 midweek, and Gameweek 6. And he won't be the only player, obviously. There'll be lots of that going on at lots of different clubs, and Conte's been talking about it before, so he's saying much the same thing as he had. Probably the best thing to do from an FPL point of view is see what the lineups are this weekend and go from there. You'd be surprised if Perisic didn't start this weekend. There has been team news on Spurs coming early that's been reliable from Paul O'Keefe on Twitter. But with the match on Sunday, it mightn't come before the Saturday morning deadline for FPL. But yeah, I think mostly see what the lineups are like at the weekend, and then can start making FPL decisions around expected minutes after that. So we'll move on to Liverpool. No players returning from injury this weekend for Klopp. He said in regard to Joel Matip, Curtis Jones and Thiago that they're not too far away, and he said Diogo Jota is getting closer. So he basically gave away nothing on any of them. He was sort of saying that it's generally good news on them, even though they're not back this weekend. So maybe some of them will be back next week, but there's not really any timeline either. So yeah, it's just a wait and see with all of those Liverpool players that are injured at the moment. He also didn't report any new issues. Naby Keita is still out with a muscle injury. Moving on to Chelsea, N'Golo Kante is going to be out for at least 4 more weeks, and Thomas Tuchel spoke about how important Kante is to the team and how much they'll miss him, that kind of thing. He's saying things he's said before when Kante has been missing. Obviously a big player for them, especially when they're playing just the 2 in midfield in their kind of usual back 3 setup. On the plus side, Mateo Kovacic is fit to play 20 minutes against Leicester at the weekend, so he's going to be eased back in from the bench. Tuchel said all other players are in training, and Kalidou Koulibaly is suspended for Gameweek 4, back for Gameweek 5. On to Crystal Palace, and there is news breaking there recently that Wilfred Zaha is going to be missing Gameweek 4 with a minor injury. That's what the Athletic are saying, so that seems definite that Zaha is out for Gameweek 4. Hopefully I haven't bought him in FPL this week, so he's definitely a no-go now. obviously poor enough fixture away to Man City, but there were people buying him anyway, and I guess wild cards and all that kind of thing. But yeah, he's now a no-go for game week 4, and we'll see what the prognosis is. Vieira kindly left out that piece of information at his press conference, but he'll obviously get asked about it in pre and post match interviews and stuff like that. So there'll be plenty of information on Zaha to go with into game week 5, but he is out for game week 4. Otherwise, James McArthur, James Tompkins, and Nathan Ferguson are all out, and there were no other issues reported by Vieira, but he did miss out his most important player, so you wouldn't be overly surprised. But the likelihood is it's the 3 guys he named and Zaha out for this weekend. For Arsenal, no new injury concerns, and Arteta said that he's got a full squad to choose from besides the injured Reece Nelson. So plenty of options for Arsenal. At Manchester United, Martial is out. He picked up an Achilles problem, the win over Liverpool. No timeline from Ten Hag. Said he hopes he'll be back for the midweek game week 5, but nothing definite. Otherwise, Casemiro is fit and has trained, so he's in line to make his debut tomorrow. For Newcastle, Callum Wilson's going to miss a minimum of 3 game weeks, with the game week so coming thick and fast at the moment. He's got a hamstring injury. Howe said a couple of weeks, but there's no definite timeline either. So I guess he's an easy sell for anyone who's got him now. He's definitely out and going to miss a good chunk of Premier League games in FPL terms anyway, and for Newcastle. So that's Callum Wilson. Emil Kraft could be sidelined for a while with a knee injury. Eddie Howe hopes to have Dan Byrne and Ryan Fraser available, and Matt Targett managed 45 minutes on Tuesday in the Cup. Over at Everton, Calvert-Lewin is set to make training return next week, so he should be back in training next week. But yeah, Lampard was kind of like saying basically if Calvert-Lewin has a good week of training next week, will he be available for Liverpool? Maybe not. And then they're hopeful to have him for the games after that. So post game week 6 is more likely, but yeah, it depends on how he gets on, I guess, and how much they might need or might not need a striker. Otherwise, Tom Davies is in contention. Abdoulaye Doucouré is out, and James Coleman played 90 minutes in the Cup on Tuesday on his injury return. For Nottingham Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White is out. He missed the Cup game in midweek after getting a kick last weekend, so they're basically waiting and seeing on him. He may or may not make game week 4. For West Ham, Moyes reported no issues after last night's European qualifier. He tends not to give much up anyway. Vladimir Sofal is returning from a concussion protocol, but he obviously missed training with that during the week, so whether or not he'll play is another story. And Moyes also said that Scamacca is pushing for a start. For Wolves, they have a fully fit squad too. Jimenez played 86 minutes on Tuesday, so he's back again as an option. Whether or not he'll start is anyone's guess for this weekend anyway. Aston Villa, all quiet there, fully fit squad. To Brentford and Royerslev and Lewis Potter both available after picking up knocks in midweek. And yeah, no other new injury concerns. Christopher Royer played for the under-21s today, so he'll be back in training and available soon, I'd imagine, but there was no word on Frank on him today. I suppose he could have been playing at the same time as the press conference or whatever, so He won't be playing Game Week 4, but could be back soon. For Brighton, no new injury issues either. Sarmiento is sidelined and Moder is a long-term absentee. And the final press conference that was on Friday was Fulham. No new injury problems there either. Cabano is being assessed on a day-by-day basis, so he may or may not feature. And we'll go to Thursday. There was 4 other press conferences on Thursday. For Bournemouth, Solanke was set to train fully today on Friday, and if he did that, he'll be available for the weekend. So he's a maybe. Fredericks, Rothwell and Stanislas remain out for them. To Leeds, Marsh has not been specific on a timeline for Bamford's return, but he said with the performances of the team, it allows us to be patient. So basically Bamford won't be rushed back as he might have been before, because the attack is performing well enough that they feel like they don't need to jam him back into the lineup straight away. Marsh also had praise for Sinistera after his display in the Cup in midweek. So the winger could earn a start this weekend. Junior Firpo and Luke Ayling could train next week. And Liam Cooper is available. He played in the Cup in midweek as well, but it's unclear to what extent in terms of pitch time for Cooper. And probably one of the big talking points in FPL this week is Rodrigo. He's being bought in droves. My opinion is that he's not an expected minutes risk for a good few game weeks at least. But other Leeds fans, well, not other Leeds fans, I'm not a Leeds fan, but Leeds fans that are into FPL think that's not right and that he's kind of the 5th choice attacker when all other options are fit. So it just depends on which side of that you fall on. It probably doesn't matter this weekend because it really doesn't sound like Bamford's going to be starting, so you'd expect Rodrigo to be up top and I guess take it from there. And there's some embargo quotes to come out on Rodrigo. I'll probably tweet them on Saturday morning before the deadline. So to Leicester, James Maddison is a doubt, which will be a big blow for them, and unfortunate FPL terms too for anyone who owns. And Wesley Fofana will not be in the squad amid ongoing transfer speculation. And finally, for Southampton, Romain Perrault is back in training. Whether or not he'll be fit enough to start is another matter. So that's all 20 clubs covered. If you'd like to read the quotes in full, the article is linked in the description below. I've also predicted all 20 lineups. There was a little tech issue in the article containing the lineups. Hopefully by the time the video goes out that'll be sorted. If you happen to look into it and there's no strikers for some of the teams, that's a tech issue, not me predicting that teams are going to play 10 or 9 men. And yeah, if you got to the end of the video, any feedback would be magnificent. And best luck for Game Week 4. See ya.